In the vibrant village of Kolkpur, Rakshabandhan was a time of great celebration. The streets filled with colorful stalls, the aroma of sweets floating through the air and children running around, eager to celebrate the bond between brothers and sisters. Yet, amidst the festive cheer, there was one home where the spirit of Rakshabandhan felt incomplete. In a bright and lively girl was the only child of her parents. Her mother and father had an intercaste marriage, which had never been fully accepted by their extended families. As a result, In had grown up without the warmth of familiar bonds beyond her immediate family. She had cousins, but the invisible walls built by societal norms and family grudges kept them apart. Every year, as Rakshabandhan approached, In would watch the other children in the village prepare for the festival with mixed emotions. She saw her friends selecting the finest raffis for their brothers, and the brothers, in turn, choosing special gifts for their sisters. The joy and excitement were palpable, but for In it only magnified her solitude. On the morning of Rakshabandhan In would sit by her window, looking out at the lively streets. She longed to be part of the celebrations, to have someone to tie a Rakhi to, and to receive the promise of protection in return. Her mother, sensing her sadness, would often try to comfort her with sweets and small gifts, but In's heart ached for the familial bonds she had never truly experienced. She had cousins like Hemshanisha who lived just a few villages apart. They used to play together as toddlers, their laughter echoing through the fields. But as they grew older, the pressures of tradition and family expectations built barriers between them. Their parents forbade them from visiting each other, and the once joyous bonds faded into distant memories. As In grew older, her understanding of the reasons behind the separation deepened, but it did nothing to lessen her sadness. Each Rakshabandhan, she would take out the box of raffis she had saved over the years, hoping that one day she would be able to tie them on her cousin's wrists, but that day never come. So she started to tie those raffis to a tree in her garden, a quiet tribute to the bonds she cherished in her heart. She would imagine the celebrations they could have had, the laughter and love that could have filled their homes. But year after year, those dreams remained unfulfilled, replaced by a quiet acceptance of her solitary situation. Despite her loneliness, In cherished the stories her mother would tell her about the meaning of Rakshabandhan, about the strength and beauty of the bond between siblings. She held on to the hope that someday things might change, and she would be able to celebrate the festival as it was meant to be celebrated, with family and love. For now In found solace in her dreams and the small acts of kindness she extended to others in the village, hoping to create her own version of the Rakshabandhan spirit, one that transcended blood relations and societal barriers. One year, as Rakshabandhan approached, the village's anticipation seemed more intense than ever. In, now in her late teens, felt the familiar pang of sadness but also a renewed sense of determination. She decided to write a letter to her cousins, Haimsh and Isha, expressing her longing to celebrate Rakshabandhan with them. She poured her heart into the letter, sharing her dreams and hopes for a future where they could be together. In hesitated before sending the letter, fearing rejection or worse, no response at all. But her desire to reach out to her cousins overcame her fears, and she entrusted the letter to a kind neighbor who was traveling to their village. Days passed and In's anticipation grew. On the eve of Rakshabandhan, she received a reply. Her hands trembled as she opened the envelope, her heart pounding with a mix of hope and anxiety. Hamishanish's response was heartfelt and filled with similar emotions. They, too, had missed her and often thought of the times they shared as children. They expressed their frustration with the family rift but also their hope that one day they could reunite. As the first light of Rakshabandhan dawned, In felt a glimmer of hope. She might not be able to celebrate with her cousins this year, but their letters had rekindled a bond that had never truly broken. She realized that love and connection would transcend physical presence, and the spirit of Rakshabandhan could still be honored in their hearts. And so, In's Rakshabandhan was filled with hope and determination. a testament to the enduring power of love and the bonds that no societal barrier could sever. One day at school, In was working on a project in the library. She had been paired with Vedant, a senior who had a reputation for being kind and helpful. They had met during a school project, collaboration, and over time, Vedant had become somewhat of a mentor too, in helping her with her studies and offering advice on various matters. As Rakshabandhan approached, Vedant noticed that In seemed increasingly distracted. She would often sun out, staring blankly at her books, her usual enthusiasm replaced by a sorrow that she couldn't hide. Vedant grew concerned. During one of their study sessions, Vedant finally decided to ask her about it. Is everything okay? You seem really out of it lately. In forced a smile and replied, It's nothing, Vedant. Just a lot on my mind. But Vedant wasn't convinced. Over the next few days, he gently pressed her, wanting to understand what was troubling her. Each time In brushed it off, but Vedant's persistence finally paid off. One afternoon, as they sat in the quiet corner of the library, Vedant asked again, I know something is bothering you. You can trust me. Please tell me what's wrong. In looked into Vedant's eyes and saw genuine concern. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her unspoken sadness pressing down on her. It's just, Rakshabandhan is coming up, and every year it's a reminder of what I don't have. Vedant listened intently, his expression softening. What do you mean? He asked gently. In's voice trembled as she spoke. I don't have any siblings, Vedant. My parents' intercaste marriage means that my cousins and I aren't allowed to talk to each other. Every Rakshabandhan, I see everyone celebrating with their brothers and sisters, and it makes me feel so alone. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she quickly wiped them away. I've always wanted to celebrate Rakshabandhan, to have someone to tie a Rakhi to, but I don't. And it's hard, seeing everyone else so happy and knowing that I can't have that. Vedant's heart ached for In. He reached out and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. I am so sorry you feel this way. You deserve to celebrate Rakshabandhan too. It's such a special bond, and it hurts to see you sad about it. Gave a small, appreciative smile. Thank you, Vedant. It means a lot that you care. Vedant thought for a moment, then said, Rakshabandhan is about the bond between siblings, but it's also about the bond between people who care for each other. Just because we are not related by blood doesn't mean we can't celebrate it. Looked up, her eyes wide with surprise and a glimmer of hope. You mean? Vedant nodded. Yes, I would be honored if you would tie a Rakhi on me. You're like a sister to me, and I'd love to celebrate Rakshabandhan with you. Felt a warmth spread through her heart. For the first time in years she felt truly seen and understood. She smiled, a genuine, heartfelt smile. Thank you, Vedant. I would love that. But as quickly as her happiness came, it was replaced by a familiar sadness. Her smile faded, and she looked down at her hands. Vedant noticed the change in her demeanor and gently asked, What's wrong? You seemed so happy just a moment ago. Sighed deeply. It's just, you know how the villagers are. They won't allow it. We both come from different castes, and if they see us celebrating Rakshabandhan together, they'll create a scene. It's not as simple as just wanting it. Vedant looked at her with determination. Do you trust me? She met his gaze, her eyes reflecting a mix of hope and fear. Yes, Vedant, I do. But, he interrupted her gently. Then don't worry. If we truly want to celebrate Rakshabandhan together, as brother and sister, no one can stop us. The bond we share is more important than any social barrier. Shook her head, her voice trembling. But the villagers, they can be so cruel. What if they make things difficult for us, for you? Vedant's expression softened, and he placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. I've seen the strength you have. You've dealt with so much already, and you are still standing strong. We can do this together. We just need to believe in our bond and not let fear control us. In looked at him, tears welling up in her eyes. But what if they don't understand? What if they turn against us? Vedant took a deep breath. They might not understand at first, and there might be resistance, but we can set an example. We can show them that love and respect for each other transcend caste and societal norms. And if they see our sincerity, maybe they'll start to question their own prejudices. In's resolve began to strengthen as she listened to Vedant's words. You really think we can change their minds? Vedant smiled. We might not change everyone's mind right away, but we can start by being true to ourselves. If we let fear dictate our actions, we'll never be able to live the lives we want. We have to stand up for what we believe in. In nodded slowly, feeling a sense of determination building within her. You are right, Vedant. We can't let fear win. If we want to celebrate Rakshabandhan together, we should do it with pride. Vedant's smile widened. That's the spirit, In. And remember, you are not alone in this. I am with you every step of the way. In felt a surge of gratitude and affection for Vedant. Thank you, Vedant. I don't know what I'd do without you. He chuckled softly. Well, you won't have to find out. Now let's start planning how we'll make this the best Rakshabandhan ever. With a renewed sense of hope and determination, In and Vedant began to plan their Rakshabandhan celebration. The days leading up to the festival were filled with excitement and anticipation. Il went to market and carefully chose a beautiful Rakhi for Vedant, and as she did every year, she also bought Rakhis for her cousins. It had become her ritual to tie these Rakhis to a tree in her garden, a quiet tribute to the bonds she cherished in her heart. On the other hand, Vedant picked out a thoughtful gift for In, wanting to make their first Rakshabandhan celebration together special. The village was buzzing with the festive atmosphere, and preparations for the celebration could be seen everywhere. Despite the joyful chaws around them, In and Vedant knew that their plan netted more than just their own efforts. They decided to seek the support of their school principal, Mrs. Jawhap, who was known for her progressive views and kind heart. One afternoon, they approached Mrs. Jawhap in her office. In felt a mix of nervousness and excitement as she explained their situation and their desire to celebrate Rakshabandhan together, transcending societal barriers. Mrs. Jadhav listened attentively, her eyes softening with empathy. When In finished speaking, she smiled warmly. In Vedant, what you are planning is truly commendable. The spirit of Rakshabandhan is about love and protection, and it's wonderful that you want to celebrate it in such an inclusive way. Vedant added, we thought if we could get the school's support, it might help change some minds in the village. We want to show everyone that the bonds of love and respect are more important than caste or societal norms. Mrs. Jahab nodded thoughtfully. I agree. This is an opportunity to set a positive example. We can use the school as platform to bring the village together. She leaned forward, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. How about we organize a Rakshabandhan celebration in the school playground? We can invite everyone in the village and show them the true meaning of this festival. What do you think? In and Vedant exchanged excited glances. That would be amazing, In exclaimed. Thank you so much, Madame. Mrs. Jadhav stood up, a determined look on her face. I'll make the announcement and ensure that the school is prepared for the celebration. This year, we'll celebrate Rakshabandhan together and we'll invite every person in the village to join us. With the principal's support, the plan quickly took shape. The school was abuzz with preparations for the grand celebration. Invitations were sent out to every household in the village, and decorations began to adorn the school playground. The spirit of unity and inclusiveness was in the air, and the excitement grew with each passing day.
The day finally arrived, and In felt a whirlwind of emotions, excitement, nervousness, and hope. As she prepared for the celebration, her parents offered her reassuring smiles and words of encouragement. They walked together to the school, in clutching the Rakhi she had lovingly chosen. As they approached the school playground, In saw that many villagers had already gathered, the atmosphere buzzing with anticipation. She spotted Vedant standing near the entrance, looking for her. As soon as their eyes met, he waved and walked towards her with a comforting smile. "Ready?" he asked gently. In nodded, her nerves settling somewhat at the sight of her friend. In, ready. Together they walked towards Mrs. Dadhead, who was busy overseeing the final preparations. She greeted them warmly. "In Vedant, it's wonderful to see you both. Everything is set. Let's make this Rakshabandhan a memorable one." After a few more minutes, the program began. The teachers gathered in the center of the playground for the traditional deep prevalin, lighting the ceremonial lamp. The soft glow of the lamp symbolized knowledge, wisdom, and the light of unity that they hoped would spread throughout the village. Next, a group of schoolgirls took the stage, their voices rising in a harmonious welcome song. Their melody filled the air, welcoming everyone and setting a tone of warmth and togetherness. The villagers watched, some with curiosity, others with cautious optimism, as the celebration unfolded. Once the song concluded, Mrs. Shattuck stepped forward to address the crowd. "Welcome, everyone, to this special Rakshabandhan celebration. Today, we are here to honor the bonds of love and respect that transcend societal boundaries. This festival is about unity, and we hope that by celebrating together, we can show that these bonds are stronger than any division." She paused, her gaze sweeping over the crowd, before continuing. "And now, it's time to celebrate Rakshabandhan together. We invite everyone to join us in this beautiful tradition. Let us tie Rakhis as a symbol of our unity and commitment to each other." As the announcement was made, the villagers began to move, forming small groups. In watched her friends and everyone around her tying Rakhis to their brothers, the spirit of Rakshabandhan filling the air. She took a deep breath, feeling a mix of nervousness and determination. Vedant turned to her and asked gently, "Are you ready?" And nodded. Together they walked towards the stage. Vedant took the microphone and gathered everyone's attention. "Everyone, can I have your attention, please?" he called out, his voice steady and calm. The crowd slowly quieted down, curious about what was happening. In felt her heart pounding, but Vedant's encouraging smile gave her the strength she needed. She stepped forward and took the microphone from him, her hands trembling slightly. "Hello, everyone," she began, her voice shaking at first but gaining strength as she continued. "I know this might be surprising, but I want to share something with you all." She paused, looking out at the sea of faces, some curious, some confused. "Every year, I've watched you all celebrate Rakshabandhan with your brothers, and I've felt a deep longing in my heart. I don't have any siblings, and because of family reasons, I've never been able to tie a Rakhi to my cousins. But this year, I found a brother in Vedant." Murmurs of confusion and disbelief rippled through the crowd. Someone called out, "But he's not your brother, and he's from a different caste." Another voice added, "This isn't right. We have traditions to uphold." Vedant stepped forward, taking the microphone from In. "We understand that this might be difficult to accept, but the bond we share is not defined by blood or caste. It's about love, respect, and the promise to stand by each other. Isn't that what Rakshabandhan is truly about?" An older man in the crowd shook his head vigorously. "No, this goes against our customs. How can you call someone from a different caste your brothers?" In felt a wave of fear but saw the determined look in Vedant's eyes. She took a deep breath and spoke again, her voice filled with emotions. "I know it's hard to change old beliefs. But today, we have an opportunity to start something new, something beautiful. We can show that love and respect can break down the barriers that divide us." A middle-aged woman stepped forward, her face stern. "Our traditions have kept us together for generations. What you were suggesting could tear us apart." Vedant nodded, acknowledging her concern. "We respect our traditions, truly. But sometimes, traditions need to evolve to include new understandings. We aren't asking you to abandon your beliefs. We are asking you to consider that our bonds can be strengthened, not weakened, by embracing unity. In's voice trembled with sincerity. We are not doing this to disrespect anyone. We just want to celebrate the spirit of Rakshabandhan in a way that brings us closer together. Can't we take this step forward together? The murmurs grew louder with villagers expressing their disapproval. You are doing wrong, someone shouted. This goes against everything we believe in. Vedant took a deep breath, his voice steady but firm. Think about what Rakshabandhan stands for. It's about protection, love, and commitment to one another. If we can extend these values beyond the boundaries of caste, we can create a stronger, more united community. An elderly woman with kind eyes stepped forward, her voice soft but carrying weight. Maybe they're right. Maybe it's time we start seeing beyond caste and traditions. Our children are showing us a path of love and unity. Her words seemed to break the tension. More villagers began to murmur in agreement, and gradually, the atmosphere softened. In felt tears of relief welling up in her eyes as the crowd's resistance began to fade. Mrs. Jadid stepped forward, her face beaming with pride. In Vedant, thank you for your courage. You've shown us the true meaning of Rakshabandhan. This is a day we will all remember. With the principal's words, the villagers finally accepted the new tradition. In and Vedant stood together on the stage, their hearts filled with gratitude and hope. In tied the Rakhi around Vedant's wrist, symbolizing their bond of love and protection. The crowd watched, some with tears in their eyes, as they witnessed the start of a new chapter in their village's history. Slowly, a young girl from the upper caste stepped forward holding a Rakhi. She approached a boy from the lower caste and tied it on his wrist, smiling shrilly. This act of courage broke the ice, and soon more villagers followed suit. Rakhis were exchanged between people of all castes, and the square buzzed with laughter and togetherness. The elders, who had been the most resistant to change, watched with amazement. The invisible barriers began to crumble. The principal thanked In and Vedant once more for bringing about this change. You have shown us that unity and love can indeed overcome any barrier. Today, we celebrate not just Rakshabandhan, but the spirit of togetherness that binds us all. In watched in awe as the barriers that had once divided them began to dissolve. Friends, neighbors, and even strangers embraced the spirit of unity, their faces lighting up with genuine smiles. The air was filled with laughter, warmth, and the beautiful sound of children running around in joy. In felt a swell of emotions as tears of happiness welled up in her eyes. For the first time, she was truly celebrating Rakshabandhan, surrounded by the love and acceptance she had always longed for. Vedant stood by her side, his supportive presence a constant source of strength. Their parents looked on with pride, seeing their children bring about such a significant change in their community. His mother wiped away tears of joy, and her father placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. We are so proud of you, and he said softly. You've shown us all what true courage looks like. Vedant's parents shared a similar sentiment, their faces glowing with pride. You both have done something incredible today, Vedant's mother said. You've reminded us all of the true meaning of love and unity. As the celebration continued, Mrs. Shadhav made her way over to In and Vedant. She placed a hand on each of their shoulders, her eyes shining with gratitude. Thank you both from the bottom of my heart. What you've done today will be remembered for years to come. You've shown everyone that love and respect can indeed overcome any barrier. In smiled through her tears, feeling a profound sense of fulfillment. Thank you, madam. We couldn't have done it without your support. Vedant nodded in agreement. This is just the beginning. We hope that this spirit of unity continues to grow in our village. Mrs. Jadid beamed. I'm confident it will. You've planted the seed of change, and it will only grow stronger with time. As the sun began to set, the villagers continued to celebrate, their hearts full of newfound hope and companionship. In and Vedant knew that while there might still be challenges ahead, they had taken a significant step towards a more inclusive and loving community. The Rakshabandhan celebration that day marked the beginning of a new tradition in Tolapur, a tradition of unity, acceptance, and love that transcended all boundaries. And as Anne looked around at the happy faces, she knew that this was the true spirit of Rakshabandhan, one that would be cherished and celebrated for generations to come. The news of the Rakshabandhan celebration in Tolapur spread quickly to the neighboring villages. 3 days later, a significant event occurred that would further change Anne's life. Her cousins, accompanied by their families, arrived at her home. Anne was at school at that time, but as soon as classes ended, she hurried home with Vedant by her side. As she entered her house, she saw her cousins waiting for her, and a wave of joy washed over her. She ran to them, and they embraced tightly, tears of happiness streaming down their faces. Their relatives stepped forward, their expressions a mix of apology and newfound acceptance. "We are sorry for keeping you away all these years," one of the elders said, their voice filled with regret. "We've realized that love and family are more important than old grudges. We are ready to accept your parents' marriage and to be a united family." Anne's heart swelled with happiness. She had longed for this moment for so long. "Thank you," she said, her voice choked with emotions. "I've always wanted to tie Rakhi to my cousins, but I don't have any with me now." Her cousin smiled and reached into his bag, pulling out a Rakhi. "I bought this along just in case. You can tie it now." With trembling hands and a heart full of gratitude, Anne tied the Rakhi to her cousin's wrist. The simple act held profound meaning, symboling the healing of old wounds and the beginning of a new chapter for their family. Not only did Anne get to celebrate Rakshabandhan with her cousins, but her mother also tied a Rakhi to her brother after many years. The family spent the evening together, laughing, sharing stories, and relishing the newfound unity. It was a moment of pure joy and celebration. That weekend, Anne and Vedant sat together in the park, enjoying the serene atmosphere. They chatted about the recent events, reflecting on the changes that had taken place. Vedant looked at Anne, a hint of concern in his eyes. "You won't forget me now that you have your cousins back, right?" Anne smiled warmly, her eyes shining with affection. "Not at all, brother. Even though they are my brothers by blood, you will always be special and my favorite brother." She paused, her voice filled with sincerity. "Thank you for accepting me as your sister and standing by me. I couldn't have done any of this without you." Vedant smiled back, equally moved. "And thank you for trusting me and letting me be a part of your life. You have taught me so much." They both extended their hands, making a promise to each other. "We will always celebrate Rakshabandhan together," Anne said firmly. "We will support each other and be there for each other in our ups and downs." Vedant nodded. "Always." As they sat there, the sun setting in the distance, they knew that their bond was unbreakable. They had not only changed their own lives but had also brought a change in their community, and they promised to continue spreading the message of love, unity, and acceptance, celebrating Rakshabandhan together every year, no matter what. "To my brother from another mother, we don't have blood relation, but still we share our pain and happiness. We don't have same parents, but we care for each other. We don't live in same home, but still we plan to meet. This is love between sister and brother from another mother. Me and you may not share the same blood, but we share the same heart. Whatever happens, you will always be my brother, made of love and hope. Your sister."